and we are live. What's up, everybody? Welcome to VKH Live. I'm your host, Jeff DeWitt. We are finally starting. We are coming to you live from AWA 2018, and I am joined by a couple of special guests.
Hey.
This is Delta, and this is Suga. Some of you might recognize them from being in the chat. Any of the regular viewers, if you're new to this, welcome. This is a live stream series put on by VKH Press. We're a press company. We're actually out here covering the J-Rock/Visual K, depending on how you consider MIYAVI, artists that are playing at AWA, and we have been doing a fair bit of live streaming in the past, so we brought it to the convention. So far we've streamed a panel and did a little bit of IRL streaming. We're going to see how this goes tonight. Generally working on a pretty rough internet connection, technical difficulties, all that stuff, but it's working out pretty well right now. And we got a lot to talk about, so we got a lot to get into, because last night we saw MIYAVI live, and yeah. So what did you guys think?
Awesome. It was a really good. He has a very good stage show. He's very good
energy.
His stage presence is just like massive, and he's like.
Even if you go in not knowing who he is, then you come out a fan, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I would say, like, the last time I saw him live was 2011 for the What's My Name tour. And he was very energetic, but he was not, like, this was like a whole nother level. He was also, like, had more swagger, like he'd been, like, practicing his dance moves. Like, it looked like he'd been doing a little bit of choreography. But yeah, I feel like since then he's kind of grown up with a lot of us as we've kind of gotten older. He started making more casual music, and then we started listening to him more casually. I think we were talking about this the other day.
Yeah.
That it's like I think you said that you don't listen to MIYAVI like too regularly, but just being there and watching him play, you really enjoyed yourself.
Yeah, that's basically the gist of how I feel about it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say there was a lot of people there that probably felt that way at this point. I don't think it's a bad thing, because there's also a lot of people there that had never heard of him that I saw on social media that were like flipping out, like, because they were just at least they were entertained. So he's entertaining everybody for sure. I definitely took a fair amount of notes. We are going to have a live report coming out in the very near future, but I wanted to kind of get into it ASAP. I can pull them up real quick. Thought I had them here. Let's see. Where are we at? No. Okay, cool. So one thing I noticed is that he is doing, in his concerts now, he's doing a lot of, he's letting a lot of backing tracks in. He's really not afraid to let like backing tracks into his songs. He's outright throwing his guitar over his shoulder, pulling out a wireless mic from his pocket, rapping for a bit, running around the stage, tossing that down somewhere, and then like jumping back behind a mic and playing guitar again like how he normally does.
Yeah, he's definitely not someone that stands still on the stage. He was all over the place.
Yeah, did that catch you off guard at first?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, like I'm used to seeing certain people or certain artists do that. Just like I hadn't seen him do it, but I was kind of, it was just very fun to watch. So that would be like the main kind of theme, I guess. Is maybe we can go through the tracks. I actually took a lot of notes. I was like, oh,
It's a novel, guys. It's a novel.
It's a novel. It's a whole thing. I am writing a live report, but I just, for whatever reason, I was I had a lot to write down. I was really on point it's the beat that he had. I was like, oh, I can take notes while he's performing right in front of me. So yeah, the main theme is like it's like he's really mixing the pop star in with the rock star, like we suspected. But it's just got a really strong effect live. And we'll get into that as like we go through the stuff. So the first one was Flashback, which was what he opened with, and he kind of threw in a little bit of a "What's My Name" riff, I believe, like in the song itself at different points. Although I think Flashback kind of has some of those parts already anyway. But yeah, so that was like that was the one that was tipping off everybody to thank you. No. But that was.
Don't mind me. I'm just over here getting lit now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, we knew. I had a hunch Delta was a wild child based on her emojis in the chat. And now you have video evidence that this is the case. But yeah, that was like, and he came right out with like, you know, he didn't do like, he did a little bit of guitar work and then he just tossed it over his shoulder. Like I said, that was so right out the gate we were like thrown back. Like,
that definitely caught me off guard because like he's mostly known for his guitar work.
Yeah.
So like he literally put it off of him and like.
Yeah, if you haven't checked in with MIYAVI and you go see him live, you're gonna be like, "Oh my goodness, like what is going on?" By the way, the slideshows that are on screen are those are photos that Winona took at the actual live. So yeah, that's gonna give you that is the live we're talking about. So enjoy all that. So the next track that he played was "Dancing with My Fingers." You know, and that one he played pretty much to the tune of like how you would play it, but that one, if you've seen the music video for that, you can probably infer that song allows for a lot of like pauses for him to like pose and like dance, and you know, it's like he'll do like just like the backhand strumming, and then he's like doing a little dance move and stuff like that. That was my perfect recreation of it.
Yeah.
Did you like that? Yeah, 10 out of 10. Are we gonna grade my dance moves now at this point as we move into the pseudo pop and hip hop like J-rock and VK artists? I noticed at that point that he was he was rocking the rack tail last night a little bit.
Yeah. I was looking at that too.
Which is a deep cut. That's a throwback. Yeah, that's a throwback to like what? Like
that's old.
Yeah. He had
that's so old that I knew about it.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, so he's got his little like I think the current photos of him are it's like he's got like short kind of buzz hair, like kind of faded on the sides, but like he's grown it out a bit, so he has like a faux hawk, and then also the rat tail is coming out at the back. So I'm like, all right, where's he going with this? Are we gonna see it dyed gray a little bit? Is there gonna be a throwback here? So I thought that was funny. He then he moved on to So On It, and by the way, Sean Bowe and I actually don't know the female vocalist name that they've been working with, but
I think he said Cassie
and Show something.
Sean Bowe is the guy that was doing the shouting and the
I'm pretty sure
DJing.
He said Cassie.
Yeah. So those two are actually like those are the two that you see doing the backing vocals for the videos that he did with 88 Rising, where he covered Rockstar by Post Malone, and then they're really more up front, like in his Havana cover, because like he's not really because like he's not singing at all, he's just doing the slap guitar. So those two, like the guy and the girl, that's like they're rolling with him as like kind of part of his team, at least for this performance and like his current shows and stuff like that. So Sean Bowe has collabed with MIYAVI on like 2 singles in a row over the summer. So one of them was So On It. That was the next track. And so he was in charge of the shouting. He provided one for this like perfect intersection of like the rock and the dance music. So I think he nailed it with In Crowd, but So On It was just like another kind of dance song, and it was a little, iffy on the recording, but it was really good live. Mm-hmm. Like everybody was like bobbing their head, like it's really weird because it's like a headbang, but then they're also bobbing their head, and then they're just like, it's not like a rap concert where it's like this, it's like this, like it would get pretty intense at times like that, but the general bass drop part that's like replaced by the guitar solo and everything, like everybody's just really grooving and vibing, and
I definitely prefer the live version of that. I mean, I had to listen to it or watch the video twice before I liked it at all, because the first time I was like, what is this? It's weird.
Yeah.
The second time I liked it.
It grows on you over time too. Like I literally have that guitar solo, which I hated in the beginning, like thought it was too squeaky and high pitched. It's stuck in my head like fairly regularly now. So that's where I'm at right now, is like, my initial impression, and I've given it on the stream, was like, I wasn't quite into it, and now it's just stuck in my head all the time. So whatever that means. But it's kind of funny because that's how a lot of relatively mainstream electronic music kind of works as well, especially if you've never listened to it before. Is you'll listen to it and you'll be like, what the hell is this? Like, this is like, this is unlistenable. But then like if you get it like 2 or 3 times in a row, and if it's on like the radio, you're getting it more than 2 or 3 times.
Oh yes.
It gets stuck in your head. So that's the ear candy factor, I guess. And he was doing more just constantly doing the rapping thing and switching to the guitar. To give you an idea, you can kind of see it in the photos as like the landscape photos as they slide through on the slideshow. But he had like the number of mics that he had.
It was a lot.
Yeah, like we talked about the one that he just has in his back pocket that he pulls out and then tucks away. And then he had a setup at the back of the stage. Well, okay, hold on. Let's figure this out. I'm trying to track where he's running around. Okay, so at the very front of the stage, where he sometimes shows up on like stage left and stage right, there's both 2 mic stands set up for him to show up to and just kind of like, sing into while he plays guitar. A little bit in the center, a little bit back towards the middle, is like one of those stands that you would see like a vocalist stand on, but it was back. It wasn't like near the front, which is usually where a vocalist does. Like a lot of artists, they'll put their foot up on it and just like kind of lean on it. And so he would go and jump up on there for like a real like set piece kind of moment where he's doing like a guitar solo or something. And then behind that was another microphone setup, and it looked like that's where he had his foot pedals and stuff for certain distortions. So I guess he was changing his distortion back there. And so he was going from each one to each one, just all over the place. Like it was pretty extensive. I don't think I've seen it that obviously extensive before, like a setup like that.
I'm surprised that he had room to move around and run around with as many mics as he had on that stage, for real. Yeah.
For sure. Like, yeah, it was interesting, and we'll get into it. There's like a lot of like interesting moments like in relation to that, like just the key takeaway is that it's like no matter what was happening on stage, like it was like he really just had his like live persona like dialed up to 11. Like it was so he was in full control, even though there were all these moving parts and stuff. So then next up was Dim It, which is actually one of my favorite tracks off of his Firebird album, and that's where what did you say you heard the female vocalist's name was? Cassie. Okay, I should actually write that down.
Probably.
Because I'm gonna have to.
Yeah,
from the life report. Yeah, so Cassie was singing the just like kind of the jazzy, like the breathy Lana Del Rey parts, I guess, in the verses. That was the name is escaping me. She's from the Bones. She's the bassist from the Bones, I think. But there's just a lot of headbanging during the breakdown for that one, and the breakdown isn't like that heavy. Like you're listening to it, on like in your car or something, and you're just kind of grooving, but like they went for it. So there was like a lot of different parts on these songs that like when they did it live, they like really, really went for it, in terms of like, no, this is a heavy part, this is a party part, this is all these different parts.
The one where her hair was like everywhere, she was in the corner and she was like,
yeah, and they were all doing it at the same time, and the audience was they warmed up pretty quickly and they were going along with it, for sure. There was this was kind of the point where I realized another interesting thing was that all of his songs were short versions of his actual songs, like one, maybe two choruses, sometimes skipping the first verse, going straight to the second verse, sometimes leaving out the second verse and just doing a repeat of the chorus, or just, I guess it would be like first verse, chorus, bridge with the guitar solo, chorus, and then you're done. So he was shaving about like 40 seconds to a minute off of like every single song that he was doing. I don't know if he did that specifically for the time slot for the anime convention, but I do know that is definitely something that DJs and even like pop stars do at like their concerts. Like they will they even did the thing. He even did the thing. I've literally seen K-pop like artists do this live, where it's like you just hear the chorus play for a quick second and then it like fades out and then the song starts. Mm-hmm. Like he did that like multiple times. So it's just really like more building on the fact that it's like he would keep flipping between rock star and pop star and things like that. So I think it goes without saying, like at this point, like if you're still following MIYAVI, you're like okay with change and stuff like that. Yeah. So, but like that's really like it's that level of confounding that it's like if you were holding out hope for like I don't know, like a return to one thing or another thing, like he's just ping ponging back and forth between them. So, I kind of fuck with all that, These guys kind of fuck with all that. Mm-hmm. And I think the audience in general, if it's people that listen to a lot of different like music, which is like a lot of the American audience actually, they'll probably be down with it because they'll find something. Like I can show his newer stuff to my parents and they'll find something. Like Flashback they like because it sounds like a funky like old school song. Let's see. So I think the last thing about Dim It was that there's a lot of backing tracks and sampling again, but you really started to notice that it was giving him, now that the crowd was warmed up and everything, he was starting to use that opportunity to like really engage with the crowd and like go even crazier on stage. So you kind of got to understand the purpose at least of like why he's he's not playing guitar and guitar's playing in the background of the backing tracks, which is like a cardinal sin for like a lot of rock artists and stuff like that. But again, it's just like flipping back and forth between them, and I think he's over time he's figuring out how to like make the like Kimiko says in the chat, somewhere in the middle. That just kind of applies to like 80% of MIYAVI at this point. It's like somewhere in the middle.
I think he even said at one point he was like basically like, thank you for letting me experiment and not like being mean about it.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. He did literally
Yeah.
say that. He was like, "Yeah, thank you for letting me experiment." Yeah. So then, like, he went into his first MC. His English has gotten really good.
So good now.
Really, really good. He's fluent as far as I'm concerned. Like,
Yeah.
and he also like had like a lot of passion, like like a really strong message to deliver during the MCs. His speaking skills were really solid. He wasn't really like when I saw him like way back during like the What's My Name tour. Like he was very just kind of fucking around, like, it's like, what's up? Yeah, fuck yeah, like that kind of stuff. But like he got in like on this first one I had that like he was like he was like so authentically happy about, like he said, I'm so happy you guys get to learn about this culture, like referring to anime, and then he was like, you guys might know it better than us by now.
That's actually pretty funny.
And then he said something like, people will say you got to look at reality, but we look at the fantasy, and you need fantasy. And it's just the way he said it, and the way he delivered it and stuff. It's like he has like a lot more conviction about stuff he's talking about. So he's kind of, it's just really feeling like the whole world peace through music and stuff is kind of came off. It's ended up being very authentic, as opposed to like, I don't know, like if he was just kind of, it's like a rock and roll thing. He just like world peace, whatever. And we'll get into that more because he talks about other stuff. Like, some of his songs are tied into like some of the work, the philanthropy work he's done and stuff. And so like, he demonstrated a lot about himself outside of like, his musical skills and the state of his music, like this concert. So, then he jumped into Selfish Love. With the twist, he played it on electric guitar, on his distorted electric guitar that he's now got it to where it's not too distorted usually, that he can only pick on it, but it's not too twangy that he can't like do the really high like guitar solo when he needs to like, substitute his guitar in for an EDM sound. And so on his current distortion of his electric guitar, it sounded really good. I don't know. What do you guys think?
It's really good.
I preferred that version of that song.
And that's a that's a hell of a thing to say, but it's like anybody who was there like wouldn't be shocked.
It was really good, though.
It was really good. It's and having drums in the background, like there was a drummer there and he was banging away on the drums, just like subtle touches like that, because Selfish Love was like always acoustic. So now instead of like, hearing the little jingle bell thing, like, when he's singing and there's no guitar playing, it's a doom, 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 doom of a bass pedal, and it just added a whole other like, vibe that like, it didn't really change like the personality of the song, but it just like got everyone moving like even more than like usual. So that was like really well played. I think that's like actually a lot more subtle. Like I think there are more subtleties to that than like it might seem like at first. Because I could see that turning into a mess really fast. Like, if it was just a regular electric guitar, or like if like just a lot of this stuff with like that I know a lot of people like to write off if they're like, more into the rock side, like the backing tracks and the DJ and changing in and out of like playing live instruments versus the backing tracks and stuff. I think we've all seen like, indie band lives, especially those of us in the visual K scene, where it doesn't work at all because it's like, it's not set up right. Like one thing's drowning out the other thing, at least on the live recording. Here, like they've really figured out how to make them like fit together really well for a rock concert. And the biggest problem with a rock concert has always been like that it just drowns out everything. But Yeah, so I think what they're doing, that's just kind of just like a side note, is that like when we talk about some of these poppier things that he's doing, I think it's there's a lot more thought that's gone into it than you'd normally do. So like don't take it for granted, because like I wouldn't necessarily, he made it look easy. I don't think it would be easy if like other bands started trying to do this. Like
I think it's definitely because it's him.
Yeah, so it's tempting to think that it might just be easy because he's reduced the complexity of like the guitar playing, and that's like the thing that's like, oh, he's good. Like
that's his thing, yeah.
Yeah, but he has been like low key working with like a lot of like up and coming producer talents. He's worked with more experienced people, so I think he's learned a lot. So definitely makes you think. Yeah, and then he jumped into What a Wonderful World. And for anyone that hasn't like checked in with MIYAVI in a little while, he did a 2017 version of What a Wonderful World. Like he put out what was that album called? Was that Day 2? Yeah.
I think so.
Sounds right.
Yeah, he put out so he put out like it was kind of a best of album, but with remixes and a new song. Remixes of like a few remixes of old tracks, a more modern best of the remaining tracks that were just left the same, and then one new track. But like the highlights of it were like it just kind of moved it more into definitely like the dancing kind of thing that he does now, like the dance influenced music. And then the one that I've actually gotten the most positive response from people who never listen to MIYAVI but do listen to dance music or like, just like top 40 music is actually this remake, which is of What a Wonderful World. And it's he replaced the outright slap guitar with really distorted electric guitar and picking or plucking. It's kind of hitting, but it's like largely picking and plucking and strumming. But it's a really scratchy, like sensitive, like distortion, and that general riff that he has that's on repeat in that song, it works pretty well for that, and it just kind of turned into like a simplified, like funky kind of poppy song, but then you also know he's just playing really distorted electric guitar. He doesn't seem to have a problem doing the rapping parts that were once handled by one of his team of like 7 people in the Kabuki Boys back in the day.
Oh boy.
Y'all remember that? That's some good times. And then, of course, anybody who's been to a MIYAVI live that gets to see that, they know that there's a lot of hand waving going on. There's a lot of, it's very chill, very swag, but very like, feels, it feels good, man.
Feels.
Yeah.
Feels with a Z.
Feels with a Z. Yeah. So then he moved into The Others, which was the next track he played. He kind of prefaced it by talking about what this song was about. So when he put out that album and then had the song of the same name, which was the PV track, he was helping out in the refugee crisis through the UNHCR, and and that's an organization that does like actual impactful like humanitarian aid. Like he's like, when he says I want to help the refugees, like he's going out to and interacting with children that have been displaced, and like he's teaching them how to play music. And there's a clip up on YouTube of him doing a recital with these refugee children that he's taught how to sing or play instruments, and then he's slapping along with them. And so he got like really like passionate about it, kind of found a bit of a calling in that. And so, he talked about like, he talked about like his work with that, and then kind of tied it into, so he's really happy that you're watching anime.
He's really excited to trade cultures with everyone.
Yeah. So, and he's, and he's happy to stick up for somebody from a different culture.
Was that the point where he was like, I have learned some American culture, good and bad?
Things and bad things.
Probably, yeah. I mean,
I remember that because I was like, oh god.
Yeah, it's always interesting because that whole area gets very controversial, but it's not actually controversial if it's helping kids. Like that's what he's doing. So like, just on the off chance someone's watching that has certain concerns about that, he's helping kids. It's kids, yeah. and like he goes over there, and it's over there, and he's helping people. So it feels more real anyway. Like seeing him do that, like he's not tweeting about it.
Yeah, if you listen to the way that he speaks about it, you can definitely tell that it's authentic.
Yeah, it's his version of like going out to Africa. Like there's actually a lot of Japanese like I think there's a YouTuber I follow like from that lives in Japan, and like he spent a lot of time in Africa and different countries and like doing humanitarian aid. So, but yeah, he just picked the Middle East refugee kind of crisis and helped out all of these poor kids. And like you see him on video and stuff, and it's just like and you hear him talk about it, and he's just definitely really passionate about it. It wasn't a PR stunt, if there was any suspicion that it was a PR stunt, like that got dispelled.
It wasn't.
That got dispelled. Like I was like, you can't bullshit the way like that level of concern and passion and stuff like that. So, but he ended up just tying it back in with like we're all here to unite through culture. So like exchanging cultures and stuff like that. So
he used the term building a bridge with music a few times.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, and that's something like I think everybody can get behind.
That basically ties into the whole world peace through music thing,
Yeah. Yeah, and I like that because it's like he's not acting like a diplomat or a politician. Like he's still addressing this problems that he sees and maybe other like diplomats or politicians see, but he's doing it as an artist.
I think I remember him even saying like music can connect you more than any politician ever could.
Yeah,
I remember him saying that.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's good. It's like a nice wild card move. And it's like who's gonna like, it's like what. Where's the harm? I'm only seeing good coming out of this. That kind of a thing. So it's interesting. I don't think enough people think about that. So like think about that route. It's like, well, I can just make stuff that makes people happy and just shoot it through the internet and see who it hits. Like it's pretty interesting concept. So yeah. It was at this point I noticed that Sean and Cassie, they would have them for this one. They did it for this song. They did it for multiple songs, but like they lined up towards the back, like in front of the table where Sean had been DJing, and they had like mic stands, and they would like, what are those singers that do that? Like the jazz singers, the backing singers from like the 80s, It's like what that...
I can't think of what the word is for it, though.
Yeah, so it was like that kind of a thing where they would be singing and then like kind of swaying from side to side, and they're just singing the backing vocals. Mm-hmm. Except it's a DJ and a female backup singer, and sometimes they're either swaying from side to side like they were for the others, or as we'll talk about in like a future song, they're like pseudo like head banging in place side to side. So it was very fun. They just had all kinds of, you can see there was all kinds of influences, because I think he got that from like when he did Real, and he had the R&B singer and like someone on keyboard at the time and stuff. So it was a nice moment. He he kind of had a bit of a spiritual moment there in the bridge, if I remember correctly. You know, he's just like really into it. So yeah, a lot of passion there.
Touched me heart.
Yeah, I mean, it was hard not to be like. I was like, okay, he cares. Right. He cares. You know. I remember when I used to care about things. No, I'm just kidding. I care about every person watching this VKH live stream.
Yes, I can attest to that myself.
Yeah. Yes, it's very yes.
That definitely applies to me. Funny.
Yeah. So then the next track was "Long Nights," which he actually is kind of continuing this kind of the deeper part of what he's of his concert, and he had a small MC where he said like Long Nights is all about like he wrote it while he was helping out during the refugee crisis. It's it's based off of a specific individual's like struggle, and like what did I have? I mean, I didn't write down the details of exactly like what the story was, and I think he was kind of general about it.
He
but
said it was a girl. He didn't really say anything in detail.
Yeah, but it was probably a very brutal journey. So look up the refugee crisis, all the fucked up shit they have to go through. So it's all about that. So it's literally long nights. It's not like long nights out partying. It's long nights out suffering. And he was really into that. And there's a moment that I was like, it happened right in front of me, and it was like, so he's really into it, and he is guitar over his shoulder, rapping. He's rapping the rap parts that he had, the Afghan refugee rapper, whose name is escaping me, but he had multiple rappers actually, because there's multiple remakes of that song. There's at least 2 different rappers doing a rapping part, and then you're like, oh, and then MIYAVI's playing guitar. No, live he's rapping now, and he's like rapping like intensely and with a message. And there was a part where his wireless mic, like I think it died, like the battery died, and like he was so into it that when he noticed what was happening, it's just like he tossed it somewhere and then like snatched one of the front mics like out of its stand, and then just like just wrapped with a wired mic, and then just dragged the wired mic around with him, completely perfectly improvising it or whatever. It was like okay, the man has something to say, and he will not be silenced by no damn technical difficulties, So
sounds like a certain someone else we know.
You will not silence me with your tin can stream. I will fight through and get my message to the masses, even if it's at a bit rate of 23. Even if I have to do it in Morse code. Oh, God. What are you talking about? I wasn't late. This is normal. If you're seeing this as a recording, everything was fine. Everything was fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's fashionably late.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Okay. And just the whole song was like, it was very intense. Like he was going wild during the guitar solo, just like flailing. Ended with I think one of the pictures we have actually, which is like him with his hands up. That's kind of the more spiritual moment ending. Like he was way into it, and it was like hands way up, and then he just collapsed. Mm-hmm. So like he was pretty intense about it. And so then he jumped into Firebird, and Firebird was where he got pretty serious about playing the riffs. Like he was pretty into it the whole time, and I think you kind of have to because of like how fast they are. And so when we were watching him do that, it was much more like a more traditional kind of what we were expecting. Mm-hmm. And at least for the first half. And then the second half, he burst out onto the, he had been at the back microphone singing, so someone wasn't singing those for this like super impactful solo. He has the habit with this song. The song itself, which is like the title track from his last like fully original album that wasn't like a collaboration album. It's catchy. It's fun to listen to, but it could have been like mixed a lot better. It could have been put together a lot better. Took a lot of risks on that album actually. But as he's played it live, he's gotten like more and more ambitious about like how crazy or like how like profound can I make that ending guitar solo sound. And he'll try and push it like as far as he can, like with like the tone that he's doing, because the entire guitar solo is done like with he's plucking, but then he has the whammy bar under his fingers here, so he's just doing crazy manipulation, and he's gotten like really good at it. Like in the beginning it was kind of like, unless you were listening to the recorded version, it was like he was just kind of playing Calvin ball with the solo a little bit. But it's like now it's like he was really like fleshing out something there. So for that song, like I think I kind of hinted at like he had like a pop star persona in full effect for some of these songs. Rock star persona was really in full effect there. Like.
That was one of his BDE moments, as I called it last night.
Yeah, his BDE moments.
BDE moments.
Yeah.
He had a lot of those.
Yes, he did. He's got a good mean mug face too. That it's like if he's like gonna go like in on a solo, he can look you like dead in the eye, like what, slapping shit. He's got that down. Unbroken probably helped a lot with that.
Yeah.
Then he got into Horizon, and it starts with the chorus, like I mentioned before, and he's doing like the catchy chorus, and that chorus is really catchy. I was addicted to that song when it came out. And everybody's jumping. Like I don't think anyone they had fully started jumping until that point. Everyone's kind of doing the swaying thing. Everyone's kind of vibing,
Yep.
and taking it all in, because he's like, it's a hell of a performance. That was where I think they got like fully engaged, and like I think from then on out they were really like bouncing around a lot. But. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry, I skipped over one. Day One actually.
How dare you skip this song?
Day One?
That was where I got excited.
Oh, okay. Yeah, see, this makes more sense. I was like, wait a minute, they didn't just start jumping. So Day One was like eased them into getting into bouncy mode,
Yeah. Yeah, that one got me. That's where I was like, okay.
Yeah. Well, that's still to date. Like, that was the first electronic song he did, or like, dance influence song he did. And I think it's still one of his best.
Yeah. I didn't really expect it. So when like, I heard Back to Basics, and I was like, oh my God. All right.
Yeah.
Ready.
And he did the version that was on, the self-titled album, which was had the extended like remixed intro and stuff, and he was playing all the riffs for that, in spite of it being like at least in the he was playing all the really important riffs you would want him to play, in spite of it being like a dance song, and the thing is, like I mentioned it earlier, but like it really came into effect here. The backing beats, like which are backing tracks to a degree, there's a DJ, involved, but for all I know, he's putting in the backing guitar sounds too. Like the backing beats and the like I think there was a little bit of backing riffs, because that whole song is like remixed slap guitar, like subtly layered in the background. It mixed in so well with his actual like played instrument, like his actual electric guitar playing. Maybe like that venue's like just like good acoustics or something, you know, but like I could hear exactly like what was like, you know, what was intended. Like it wasn't distorted like how it normally is for like a live, where you only hear, usually like the live guitar is drowning out any backing tracks. Like that's the default. So on
this song too, that's really one of the places where I noticed how much his English has improved, because the pronunciation of the words.
Yeah.
At least from the version that I'm used to listening to, because I've listened to like the original version of that song a lot.
Yeah.
And his pronunciation has improved a lot. So. Yeah.
So, let's see. He threw in like a new guitar solo. He does this with like a lot of his songs now. He's just like and now it's like you don't know if you're getting a slap guitar solo or like some like kind of like snappy like plucked guitar solo or both. So it's not like he added like a new layer of complexity. It's just like he diversified like what you're getting. So so that was like you know, that was pretty interesting to see, and he definitely did that on day one. Sean Bo had everybody get down on the ground and like crouch, which I'll be so highly amused if it turns out that they got that from Slipknot, because I always knew that as a Slipknot move. It's just instead of it turning into Carnage, it turned into everybody jumping up and getting fully bouncy. Fun. So yeah, so that was a good transition, and then Horizon comes in, and then he's just able to jump right into the catchy chorus, and people are just start jumping, and you know he's going in between both mics for the verse as he's like, you know, playing, you know, the more subtle like guitar in the background during the verses. So we went from rock star persona in full effect to pop star persona in full effect. Yeah, I'm getting complaints as a long stream of keeping somebody up. Is that what I'm doing? Is that what I'm doing? The rave?
The line for the rave is...
Oh, the line for the rave is...
The line for the rave is long.
Oh, I see.
It's fine.
Your stream is good.
Oh, okay.
We're doing good.
It's like somebody's like sent you a text somewhere. It's just like there's people.
They're cut off the stream. The president's coming.
He's sick of this shit. He's sick of this shit.
Sick of them kids and their VKs.
Yeah, those damn kids. Yeah. So if you hear a little bit of noise outside, it's just there's so much going on outside.
It's very lit here.
Yeah.
There's been a party down there basically all weekend, and this hotel is made of balconies. So. It's
making me rethink my general impression of these conventions, you know, because it's just definitely a bit of hype this time.
It's really...
Yeah.
I mean, from personal experience, I was here like 3 years ago, and this is like completely different than what I remember.
Yeah, so... Yeah. I don't know how that happened or like, you know, what worked out this time, but it's like... It's not as weird anymore, or it's good weird, you know.
Yeah. That's probably a more accurate way to say it. It's good weird.
It's good weird. Yeah. Kimiko, yes, you definitely should go to next year's.
Hey, yeah. I'm gonna be here.
Join us.
I can't speak for Jeff, but I'm gonna be here.
I will be here. I will definitely be here. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll be here.
Yes.
So that means you need to come.
Yeah. Let's see. So, yeah. So after Horizon, like he left. They're calling for an encore immediately. Like they're hyped. He comes back. He comes back like 2 minutes later.
He came back after a lot of MIYAVI, MIYAVI.
Yeah.
And it started to die a little bit, and then they kind of got like a second wind, and they were like MIYAVI, MIYAVI,
Okay,
and then
now.
they came back.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And like even the encore period was like reduced in time. Like it was like everything was like cut like, you know, together. So it's you know, it was interesting. It was a very I was kind of realizing, I was like, this has been really digestible so far. Like, this has just been like, I can just sit here and observe this and just kind of chill and enjoy it. There's not a lot to think about. I'm not being assaulted by like my ears or whatever. Yeah, absolutely.
It's not overwhelming.
Yeah, so then he goes into a long MC, and I was fortunately keen enough that, for context, they gave everyone permission to film anything as long as it was on a smartphone and no flash photography. So everybody had their phones out and was filming stuff. So you should have no shortage, hopefully, of videos online.
Yeah, there were a lot of phones. Up here.
Yeah, so I was out here taking advantage of that because I was like, well, it'd be nice to record what he says in the MC so I can quote him properly. Here I go recording him, and he low-key confirms for the first time that he was, in fact, cast in a role for Maleficent 2, and that he was in London recording over the summer, and that, you know, he's pretty much, it sounds like he's pretty much done with it. So I went and broke that story as fast as I could, so thank you to everyone who was reading it. It sounds like that was exactly as exciting to people as I suspected it might have been, because, yeah, my social media apps are like a little insane right now. So
sounds like that's gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah.
He said he was playing. He said it this way. He's like, "Finally, I'm playing a good boy. I always play villains."
Yeah. Is that what he said?
That's basically
like,
what he said.
Better?
It's paraphrasing, but that's basically what he said.
Yeah. Apparently, the villain he played in Gang Goose, which is Winona's brought that up, was like one of the smaller anime adaptation movies he did, was apparently he's a really bad guy, because he's like, yeah, I played, you know, a bad guy in Unbroken, and then I played a really bad guy in Gang Goose. Like, you know, it's like, oh, okay. And so, you know, after going into all of that, he's just talking about stuff that he's been doing. He goes into like some classics a little bit. You know, we're definitely in an encore. It's going by so fast, but it's like it doesn't feel like, you know, it should have been longer. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's kind of how I felt. Like, it's kind of like all these short albums we keep seeing from the major bands. Like, you know, like, it went by so fast, but I don't know what you could have done to make it longer. Like, you know, it worked for me. So he goes into Strong, and Strong doesn't seem to have changed a ton over time. You know, he like modified that song live like really early on, because like he didn't rap back then, and I don't even think now he could rap as well as Creva, which is who he was versing for that song. You know, he raps pretty quickly, and so he had a, you know, his only version, like his voice only version, where he was singing, and then over time it just turned into like a call and response thing where you just be like, be strong, whoa, yeah, and the crowd repeats it back. So he was doing that, you know, at this live, and he just really had that one down pat. Like, you could just kind of tell, like he'd done that like a bunch. He likes that one.
Yep, it was a pretty interesting thing to witness, because people were kind of like confused at first, and they were like, oh, okay, like the second time he did it, like, and then everybody was doing it after that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this was the specific part where I was particularly amused, because Shambo and Cassie were back behind the backing R&B microphones, but instead of the R&B dance, they were like jumping, kind of shimmying side to side, like behind the microphones. You know, it's just like everybody's just doing something kind of fun or funky or funny or whatever.
Yeah, they really were. Like, I still can't think of what that's called. Like, the people that are behind the microphones just like dancing, and like older
Backup singers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously backup singers, but I think there's a
backup singers.
there's a better term for that I can't think of right now. But
oh, Kimiko says.
I like how Kimiko says she can hear the screaming in the background from the rave. That's not even the rave. That's just a party that's going on outside.
Yeah, that's the lobby.
That's the lobby.
That's like the line. Yeah, let me see. Hold on, if I don't speak for a second. Oh yeah. Oh God, the levels. The levels, it must have intensified over time. I don't know. Well, we're wrapping up in terms of the the set list anyway. So, but we'll read the chat a little bit, and then if you guys had any other questions, any other quick hot tips you wanted to know from the some hot scoops, some hot takes,
Some hot scoops.
some I can't even say it right. Yeah,
Some fresh hot science facts over here.
some science facts about MIYAVI. So then the next song was Real, and he's thanking everyone for coming, and it's just the hype is building. There's like a ton, that's like a very jazzy and also gospel infused song, they Sean and Cassie, they kind of did finally adopt an R&B swag behind in their backing vocals positions, and then they came out. They came out to the front of the stage and stood in front of the stand, and then I believe MIYAVI stood on the stand, or so then Sean and Cassie were just going back and forth with like their best R&B vocals. I'd only ever heard Sean yell sing, so I didn't know he could sing. Although that's not true, because he sang in the Havana song, but I didn't realize that was him until I saw him live like now.
Yeah, I until MIYAVI like introduced them, I had no idea who that was.
Yeah, yeah. So Sean Bowe is the he's credited on the 2 tracks, the In Crowd and So On It. He's like the DJ, and he also lends the vocals. So, yeah. So just I wrote a lot of like really detailed parts of this that I don't necessarily need to read out, I don't think, but it was like they just were doing a lot of like crazy intense stuff to fit the R&B nature of the song. They're building up to a climax in the in the encore. They really hyped the crowd up with a lot of these antics. Maybe I'll go into it like when I write the.
You write it, that would probably be better.
It might be more interesting. I'll remember it all.
Read.
Yeah, right. But they're just doing a lot of stuff like what we described, and it's hyping everyone up, and then it switches to like that gospel thing, and they keep doing it, and then like there's just a part where like the beat just kicks in hard and everybody like went nuts, and it's like it totally didn't have to happen. Like it could, like if they had just performed it regularly, that wouldn't have happened. People would have just been like, oh, this is nice. But like they had just like invested like 1,000% into getting everyone amped the hell up for that. So, and then my favorite part was like it like so Real ends with like his little slap melody, and then he does the little strumming thing, and when he did that, he did the little strumming thing, and he struck a pose, and then Sean and Cassie like struck a pose like this on either side of him. And I was just sitting there. It was just all I thought in my mind was Instagram. Like this is it.
They're about to drop the freshest album of 2018.
They're about to drop the most fire mixtape. That's kind of what they were doing a lot of the year. So, and then the last track he played, like, can you guess? Like what's the one song that's missing from here? So What's My Name was the last track. So he played, it was the 2017 version, and so there's like a build up and a bass drop in addition to him doing a bunch of crazy slap guitar, and the bass dropped hard for that. Like I felt it. I didn't feel it in here. I felt it head to toe. Like it was super intense. So, it's just added more to it. He's too good at that like guitar riff at this point. He ended with the trademark solo. And just let it go as crazy as possible. It sounds like a horde out there. Like
it basically is
a party horde. Yeah.
Yep, that's an accurate description of that.
Oh my god. Yeah, so not a ton to say there. If you've ever seen What's My Name live, it's just like everyone was like super happy he played it, and the bass drop is like a pretty intense live, edition. So, but yeah, so that was like about it, and they did a little bow together. They took a selfie together. So yeah, like he really brought. I wasn't sure how he was going to handle playing at an anime convention. Like I didn't know if he cared.
He seemed like he was really into it.
Yeah, and he was really into it. So that was like really cool. Because like when he goes and plays live venues, he's usually like really excited as well because he's usually doing it on a world tour. He was just in another town, so this one's like, oh, new thing, like oh, people like me here, or you showed up for me here. That's awesome, thank you, and like stuff like that. And so it's like, well, anime convention, it's kind of like a one stop, like it's set up to where it's like you could play it, you can get your money, and you can get out of there if you like really want to do a couple interviews, whatever. But like he was super super stoked about it, and he like genuinely prepared for it, and he's been genuinely preparing for like a more I guess mature, I don't know if mature is the right word for his lifestyle. It's just like I said earlier that like I feel like he grew up with his music as like I grew up, and it just turned into like this more kind of just like this more chill kind of music that tries new things and experiments, never flops really. Like he's not the kind of guy that like flops on something. Like I would say, for example, I don't think they have flopped on on anything in particular, but like if you look at like the polar opposite of MIYAVI, which would be a band like Dim Lim, for example, like that's a band that's not afraid to like try something and totally fuck it up, and they'll just like they don't care. He's the opposite. Like he kind of likes to be a little creative and like try some stuff and like switch some stuff back, and it just feels like a steady growth. And like Dimlim's a very young band, and MIYAVI's a very much older artist, so it's like it's like over time you have these changes in the way you do things. And yeah, I don't know. When I was younger, I was not down with pop music as much, and now I am.
Now you might fuck with it a little bit.
Now I fuck with it. I kind of fuck with it. So, and Winona's the same way. Like, like we're both really into hip hop right now. So, like when In Crowd came out, which is like a little bit of dance, a little bit of hip hop, like we were just like, oh my god. So,
yeah, that one during the concert really kind of got me.
Yeah,
I was really kind of.
Did we talk about In Crowd?
We did. It was just,
okay.
It was it was right after.
Right.
So on it.
So on it, right? Yeah.
Right
I came there for In Crowd. I was there for In Crowd, and then I was there to cover the show. But like, if I was there as like a just a regular attendee, I would have been there to see what he did with In Crowd live, because that's like my most favorite song by him in a while, and also
I would agree.
Also to check out like maybe some of the Versus tracks from his latest Samurai Sessions, which he played a couple of those. But really, I was there for In Crowd, and then I stayed for like the personality and the fun and the risk taking of what he was doing with his live performance and stuff like that. So I'd say overall I was like really impressed. I had a lot of fun. It's not anything that I walked away being like, this is like had a profound earth-shattering impact on my soul in some sort of like artistic way, it's like, or anything like that. It was just like, this is a really good guy, he's doing a really good thing, and he just made a bunch of people in this room feel really good about showing up to an anime convention to go watch him perform, so like good on him. And so yeah, that's about where I'm at.
It was just very solid overall, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. So yes, that's about all we had. I saw some of the chat. There's some funny, sassy comments in here.
There's some mean comments in there.
Yeah. I will check out some of it. Let me just double check this, make sure I didn't miss anything.
We didn't break it.
No, not that. Just I just want to make sure.
Make sure we don't need more duct tape.
No, I'm paranoid I'm going to miss one of these super chats.
Yeah.
No, I'm good, I think.
Good.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, so any questions and stuff, guys? Speak now or forever hold your peace, because I guess I'm going to my first anime rave. Like, I don't know. I thought this was a good idea. I'm not sure now, because it sounds like
absolutely a good idea.
it sounds
going with me.
it sounds like the Dothraki weeb horde out there. Like,
that's not even the rave though.
The
like,
rave is way over there.
The rave is over there.
Why
That's
is-
just the hotel
Way
lobby
other
party.
room. Other room.
oh,
Other
the-
It's in the convention center.
oh God,
It's where.
is it just like one
was.
big crowd line, like all the way out there, or they
No,
just
this-
they're all
this is
piled up?
something
Separate
else.
mobs.
Oh, okay.
This has been going on all weekend.
I don't remember it being like that. Like last night, was it?
Well,
They
I mean,
all
by the
passed
time we
out.
were there, they were all asleep. But
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
I mean, there were like 2 people down there
Come
max.
5 a.m. they tend to go to bed.
Yep.
Yeah.
We didn't though.
This is the first night I'm actually going to be able to like go like really really chill, but I have been up late. It's just I wasn't drunk and then hungover. I was sleep deprived and then
Yep.
and then not trying to stay awake. So
It was a thing.
yeah. But yeah, we got some good content for you guys. Some interviews, some dope interviews and stuff like that. It's gonna come out, and yeah. Oh, Asuka 382 says I would have liked to be there. I have to wait for another world tour to see him again in Mexico. Hey man, like shout out to you guys in Mexico though. Like you guys are like really like passionate and supportive of him, and like I've seen you guys share our articles like in our metrics and stuff like that. Like so like I mean you're doing it because it's about him, and so I'm sure he's very grateful. But like thank you for like sharing our stuff and supporting MIYAVI as well, because I mean that was awesome. We just saw like a big spike coming out of like Central and South America for some of this stuff. So like those guys, I'm telling you, man, like the Central and South America is like it's a powder keg of like fan excitement. It's like ready to go off, like and you're seeing visual K bands.
I've noticed the Central and South America are very they're very active as far as like, I mean, of course, obviously our specialty is LMC, so they're very vocal in that community also.
I don't know how they keep up with everything. But
I don't either.
they're really good at it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, just I guess so. It's stated. I don't know if I mentioned it. These two are from the
we're
Wonderholics
Discord
Discord server.
We're
If
not
you're
wearing our t-shirts, what are we doing? We're fraudulent.
Death already.
it's all good, but yeah. So they're one of they're one of a few communities that we've found as we've done these streams that do a really good job just running a fan community and keeping fans engaged. So if you guys are aware of any others like that out there, feel free to shoot them over to us. We're always looking to reach out and try and unite all these different fans into fan groups, and then the fan groups into fan communities, and so we can have a little online community. Strength in numbers, man.
Absolutely, that's true. That
I heard too
really
much
is.
K-pop today. We gotta we gotta fight that. I did hear Gact though. I heard
It's not
someone.
Wars Jab.
I heard someone cover Gact. It's not wars. I like it. It's about
K-pop wars.
It's about balance, is what I'm saying. It's time to balance the scales. Let's see. Oh yeah.
I keep cracking
Don't
up at
give
that one.
Don't give Delta. Okay, Kimiko says don't give Delta a mace. Yes, I am still laughing at the part yesterday. Yeah, that's from IRL stream that I privated, because as far as I can tell, and I honestly still haven't confirmed this because I haven't been on solid internet in a while, but
very bad here.
the connection's very bad. So the stream went through, but then it dropped out a few times, and I can't tell if the recording is actually good quality, like if there's a better quality version, and like
it just won't load.
Yeah, or if it just won't load on my computer. Yeah. So I got to go back and look at it. But I
see things in way lower quality than they actually are.
Yeah, if it is, then I'll probably I'll download all of them and clip them together.
If you clip that out, I'll die. That would be so funny.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll add it to my list. The lobby's crazy. Then zombies.
Zombies.
It's just murmuring. Just Kimiko just left me a reminder to not break the stream. Thanks. Like, you never know. And then also, it's a good idea. Do it, Jeff. Go to the rave. It sounds fun, says Lauren.
We're going. Don't worry. We got this.
Yeah. So, yeah. All right. So with all of that, like, thanks guys for coming out. Thanks for checking it out. I'm glad we were able to make it through the whole stream. Kind of got good signal here. Special thanks to Delta and Suga for coming on and letting me stream in this area a little bit. They're posted up inside the hotel. It's very convenient.
Yep.
Yeah. So we will catch you guys later, okay? Keep an eye out on VKH's Twitter and Facebook and just our website. There will probably be another stream tomorrow. But we're just kind of playing it by ear because it's a convention, and like for press, everything is up for grabs. So like everything is up in the air. But if there's something cool to check out and to stream about, we will definitely do it. So yeah, keep you posted. Anyways, peace out, guys.